Everyone. I am going to be answering some questions and introducing you to my colleague, Holly, who runs my small group coaching with me. We are a team and we have so much fun together. And so I just want to give everybody an opportunity to ask us some questions for you to get to know Holly and just understand a little bit more about our dynamic, how we work together. And I got some pre-submitted questions from the question box that I'll answer, but also we will just answer anything here and generally talk about how we do our thing. So the small group coaching program, if you don't know about it, it's called Resilient Biomes, and I started this because I get tons of requests for one-on-ones and people are wanting to work with me, needing more support beyond the DIY courses. So all my courses are do-it-yourself. That means you buy the course and you work through the material on your own. And now I have an opportunity for you setting. We do limit the number of mamas in the group. We like to keep it personal. And here's Holly. I was just telling them about the structure of the program. So basically, there's the DIY courses, and then there are the group coaching, which you have more access to us, and we talk you through your problem on an individual level and help you to understand what the next step is to take. And we did it in the summer. We had a ton of fun, and now we're doing it for the first round of our fall group, and that filled. And so we're going to have another one, which is filling up as well. And that's going to start on October 7th. So I wanted everybody to come here, get to know you a little bit more, and have a chance to ask questions. And just so you all know, if you want the link, it is an application-based process. So if you want the link to apply, you can DM me, apply, and you'll get that link. And I rate everyone back who applies, so go ahead and apply, but only do it if you are serious because it does take my time. Yeah, so welcome, Holly. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, all right. Well, my name's Holly, and I have three kiddos that are 8, 5, and 3, and I just love bringing them holistic health. Like, that's my passion. So I was an ER nurse for over a decade. I did that for 12 years. Went all around the United States doing trauma, helping people in emergency situations. And then my own daughter, when she was born, had a bunch of issues and she was on life support. I wound up having a whole bunch of issues that I was not expecting at all. And I realized that I had to take from the medical system. Great, thank you for medicines that saved the life, but then I needed to actually heal her on my own. And so that threw me into this whole big journey of holistic health. So I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, actually. And it's just super fun. So yeah, I just walk parents basically through healing their kids like Kate does. So we're a good match. And yeah, that first go around the Brazilian Biomes was just really fun. I think it's really fun. I do a lot of one-on-ones, but it's so fun to have a group of moms working together and encouraging each other and like being able to collaborate with each other. And I just really, really enjoyed that. So I'm excited to do this next one and then the next one. And yeah, just see what all your questions are.
Yeah, so a bunch of people were like not fully understanding how much individual support
Yeah.
that they actually get in the program. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I'll just start and then you can bounce off of it.
Yeah.
So basically, we limit the group, and I actually cut the number even less from the summer group because, we just really want to give moms a chance to answer their questions or to ask their questions so that we can give everybody time. And we also have a Facebook group that supports within the time frame that you are working with us live. So not only are you going to have the opportunity to ask your question just right to our faces, but also throughout the week, we are checking in with that Facebook group and making sure everybody is set with the goals that we worked on from that previous week. So I feel like from that perspective, it's really impactful. And then the second thing that we do is we have an intake form once you're accepted to the program, which gives us a rundown of everything that you're going through, the type of support you have, the type of work you've already done, so that we can really see and observe where we can step in and help you. And so from that perspective, we're also tracking everyone throughout the three months that we have together. And how do you, experience that as a practitioner, Holly, and the type of results that people get?
Yeah, well, so, as a one-on-one practitioner, I like to get as much information from people as possible, right? I'm like, let me learn your history. Let me learn mom, your problems, dad, what's going on with dad. Both of those are going to factor into the child. And so it's really nice to get all this information to be able to give good advice, like on Instagram, on social media, like Kate, like you get, like I do, like just tons of people asking, well, what do I do about this, right? Like, and we don't have any backstory. And it's not, I mean, we can give you some advice, like, sure, you can try this thing, but it's not really the safest way to do it, right? But when we have the group and we have the information, so you fill out all the information, Kate and I go over all of that. Like we went over everybody's, everybody's applications and what's in there, and just kind of formulating like, okay, this is what I'm seeing with her issues. This is what I think is probably going on. And then we jump into the group like we just did on Friday, and we were able to get more information, right? So having a little bit of an idea of this is where we're starting from, this is where we need to go, and then actually talking with each mom one-on-one. I think it was so good. And it's then we're like, okay, so now we can pinpoint one, two, maybe three things max for you to work on, and then we just build upon that, right? And so the structure of this weekly call is just really nice because we're not just like, well, here you go, here's a bunch of information, do what you can with it, but more of like, all right, let's just slowly build upon what you're doing, come back, let us know how it went, how your child is doing, then build upon that. So it's very, very effective. I love this kind of method because I feel like I'm actually getting to know the moms and the kids and being able to provide really good insight and support for them rather than just kind of shooting from the hip with people asking random questions. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
really good system.
exactly. And the other thing is that key themes start to emerge not only from the individual, but also from the group at large. So then we can take from everyone's intake forms and create these mini lessons, which are helping people sort of frame the work or, deepen kind of get their questions answers indirectly because we have that information initially from people where they're telling us these are my top three problems and this is how we're working with them to solve it. So that's really cool. And then the other thing is like, I mean, we're listening to tone of voice, we're looking at people's faces, we're reading the room very much so. And it is very somatically based, which means in the body, because obviously we're working with the digestive systems, we're checking in on organ systems, we're optimizing how your body can function, and we root it into seasonality. So for example, we're in fall now. We just had the equinox and we've crossed over from summer to fall. And so we're going to absolutely root these mamas into the medicine of the time because that is exactly what your child needs to heal. And so that in combination with, being able to see your face every week on the video and hearing your voice and hearing what you're up against, that really helps us to give you the information that you need to get your child, feeling way better, which ultimately helps you to feel so much better. Um, so let's talk a little bit about like immunity. So how do you see immune system support in the fall? What things, because I get this question all the time, like I feel like people want so much to know, like how do you keep your kids from getting sick, or what's the magic to your children recovering so quickly? And you and I can just riff a little bit on that and like the things that we do that make our children so vibrantly healthy.
Yeah. All right. Well, the magic that I do is that every day I am consistent. I'm just consistent with my kids, right? The magic is back when my daughter was on life support, and then I got her home and she had respiratory issues because she was intubated. and she kept having to be, have emergency medicines and go back to the hospital. It was the unraveling of that was actually magical for our family. Like, it was the taking away the different understanding of how the body actually works, that we are not afraid of germs, that we need to help the body get calm, get relaxed, be able to heal and repair, and to actually just provide the building blocks and the nutrients that are going to help the body heal. So that's what we do every day. I mean, every single day we eat foods that are reparative to our bodies, that build, that cleanse our bodies. We're in the sun, like you were saying with the equinox, like we are very attuned to the seasons, not in some like weird ethereal way, just we go outside. Like, we eat from the garden, we go outside, we spend a ton of time out in nature, eat really good food. That's what it is. And I think for some people that can be really intimidating. It is not your lifestyle, but it is healing. That's what it is. It is healing. And if you are looking to have a healthy family and to raise healthy kids, like, that's what it is. And truly, when you get there, it did take me a little while to get to the place where we are right now in my family, but it is so enjoyable. Like, it's so fun. I love raising my kids. I love being a mom, because honestly, we are not riddled with sickness. It's not stressful at this point because I'm not constantly trying to like catch up from behind and stop flares and worry about symptoms. Now it's very simple. So on the immune side, it's basically just the consistency of giving my kids what they need. And sometimes it's more pinpointed, right? Like, in the course or in the group, we talk through like, okay, there's basic things that everyone should be doing, and then your child needs more of ABC. Like, sometimes you actually do need more support, but then you get to this point where it's just what we do is what their bodies need. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is why I love working with Holly, because she has this personal experience which transformed her life. She has the medical experience, so she knows how to talk to doctors, how to interact in the hospital. She's a gardener, a homesteader, and she brings an expertise with herbal medicine and lots of different really grounding daily practices that can be absolutely transformative for moms, and a very clear vision on what keeps a family healthy. And so for me, I agree, and we have a lot of overlap in this perspective. And so in terms of cooking, I can definitely help you with getting your cooking rhythms on track. I have lots of yummy recipes and things that are very supportive. And then Holly can totally pick up any sort of diagnosis that you've gotten. She can help you to interact with your pediatrician. All of these things, I think it really makes a great pair, which is why I've, got her on my side. And then the other thing I wanted to just add to what you said, which is so profound, is like, people are like, what do you do when your kids get sick? It's like, I do the same things I do every single day with them in more concentrated forms. And I listen to their body and I honor what their body needs. So much of what we do with moms in this program is helping them feel confident, expand their toolbox, and know like what to plug and play at what times. And the more, it's really just practice that gets you there, right? Like, it's not like you have like, oh my gosh, I like all of a sudden I have these tools and I know exactly how to use them. It's pretty much like that, but really over time, like Holly said, it took like, time for this to really build and become like a thing that she was just totally back of the hand under, I got this. Same with me. I mean, that's really the process of becoming in motherhood, right? You do all this. I did a lot of healing for myself. The birth changed the trajectory of what my son needed. And I responded because I had tools. And even through that process, I learned so much more. So it's like, we're here to be your sounding board and to support you, but ultimately, like, we want you to be empowered with your toolkit to just go on vacation as you need to, respond to your child's respiratory flare, respond to the eczema flare, see how the overall healing is happening in their system, and trust that their body is working so well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the moms that we work with have this like gut intuition. Like, they're like, I feel like I know what they need, right? It's so many times that they'll come on and be like, okay, I know that I need this, this, this. And we're like, yes, that's exactly what it is. Sometimes you just need that encouragement to be able to follow what your gut is telling you as a mom, right? Because so many of us I've not learned that. And when we get into this motherhood, like as we're becoming moms and as we're growing as moms, part of our job is to really follow through with that God-given intuition of like, this is what your child needs, right? But yeah, sometimes we just really need help with that. And so that's a lot of what we do in the group is like, okay, yes, we can definitely provide guidance for you, but very frequently you know what you need to do. And so let's just give you the confidence to do that, and then we'll help you analyze and we'll help you reassess and see if that was good and if that was exactly what your child needed, but really just helping you with like growing in your intuition and your ability to understand what your child needs. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then there's a lot of like things where people aren't doing enough of something. So when it comes to like natural foods and natural remedies, people are often scared or just like don't have enough people around them that are doing the same thing. And so they're like, yeah, I gave beet kvass, but like only a drop, which is where we instruct to begin, but oftentimes our children are needing more. So we say, yeah, let them have as much beet kvass as they want and let's see what happens, right? So it's things like that that are really like, it's kind of priceless because you think like, oh, I have the tools, but yet it's not working. A lot of people will say that I tried that already. And in reality, we have maybe tested something out, but like it's not just about trying something, it's about living the lifestyle. And if we're trying, we're not really doing, right? There's a part of us that's held back from like just this whole, deep dive into what the embodiment of this kind of life is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the number one thing that I see with people I work with who have like dabbled in natural health, right? Like dabbled and like tried, and it's just that saying like, "Oh, I tried it, it didn't work." And like you said, so much of the time it's just let's just do more, let's just do it more strategically. Let's come up with a plan, right? Maybe you need it every other day, maybe you need it every day, maybe you need it twice a day, whatever it is. And so yeah, so if you have been like, I think I've tried all the things. I think I hear that phrase definitely weekly, a couple of times, right? Of, well, I've tried all the things. And maybe you have, but just not in the exact way or growing it how you needed to or that kind of thing. So that's where we can help with supporting.
Exactly. These things build on each other. And so when we see certain signs from the body, because we have so much experience with those signs and symptoms, we're going to be able to understand more of what's going on and then advise you the direction to take. Because it's not a matter of whether or not this works. Like foods work, foods heal, it's a matter of how things are stacked and having really the sounding board, the confidence, and like you said in the beginning, just echoing that consistency piece, which is so important. I mean, so much of it is like, keep going, keep building, keep supporting detox pathways, and you're going to keep getting results. I mean, we've had lots of people have great results, babies not pooping, to now pooping every day, eczema flares going way down, even understanding the process of how eczema heals and like how to be patient and supportive during that time. Of course, moms coming feeling really fatigued, hormonal imbalance, postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, having the group be that like mirroring support, that echoing the village, but also literally implementing the things that change your gut microbiome, that change your neurotransmitters so you can sleep better, feel better, getting the sunlight in your eyes, these really literal hormonal adjustments that actually you know start to bring resolution to those problems like postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression, which are so relevant and important,
Mm-hmm.
and also completely mirrored in our children, right? So with health, when it comes to this continuum of the childbearing years, we really are supporting mom and baby together, which is my whole thing here, mama baby biome, right? So I guess we could talk a little bit about some of the most common symptoms that we work with, and yeah, maybe just like an example of how we work through it before we pop off for today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned a couple of them. Eczema is a really big one. So eczema, psoriasis, dry skin, like just rashes, right? And rashes it's a sign that the liver is struggling and needs support. That's the biggest thing that I see with it. There's so many things at play, right? There's the microbiome, there's the liver, there's the nervous system. Like there's numerous things, but the way that we address it is like let's find what you need to work on the most, right? So we're always going to do liver support. We're always going to do the nutrition. And then also tapping into like, okay, mom, how are you feeling? Are you super stressed right now? Let's support you, right? How is your liver? Are you pooping right now? Oh, you're not? Okay, let's support you so that baby can also be supported in that, right? So there's definitely this like baby physical or child physical component that we're bringing in, and then also the mom component, like you said. The liver, I just brought that up first because that's usually one of the first things that I see when we're having like a recurring or just like a stubborn kind of eczema or rashes. And so a lot of times we're going to be providing liver support for that, both through what we're eating and then also through, so that could be what mom's eating if mom's nursing. That can be through exactly what baby's eating, depending on how much baby's eating at this point, and then on like detox strategies and therapies, like baths, like castor oil, like doing some beet kvass, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, something common that comes up in the fall is the respiratory issues and in general immune system stuff, like getting sick, like all the time. My baby had this come up. Moms are totally seeing the layers of things being related. Like they're always bringing up teething or, drool rash or these kinds of things. And basically, like we just zoom out and help you see that. These are the building foods to implement. These are the organs that you're supporting by doing these detox lifestyle practices, and it's going to continue to resolve as time goes on, but it's like the layers of the onion, right? So like we have had babies that have like cleared major rashes, and then they're now going on to try their allergens, which they haven't been able to have for months. And so it's like totally layers that we're working with. And it's wonderful because some of the moms who are in the summer even join again for fall because they just want that contact. They see the progress, they want to keep going. And I mean, I totally support that. I think it's lovely. So, in terms of respiratory system, lungs, how is that related to gut health?
Okay, so the lungs are like my passion because because that was the main thing that got me into coming away from the medical system into natural health with my daughter's lungs. So, yeah, the lungs are a detox organ. The lungs help with detoxing. Lymph is very instrumental with the lungs. The lungs are, they're big with getting out lymph-borne toxicity. They're helpful with circulating the blood and the healing nutrients. If we don't have good lung support, then we're going to have stagnation throughout the whole body. The way this factors in with the gut microbiome is because the microbiome, we have that everywhere, right? So the gut microbiome is going to spill over to our sinuses. It's going to spill over to the lungs. We have microbiology in the lungs. And so all of that is going to be, depending on how the gut is, that's going to be spilling over elsewhere. And then depending on how the microbiome is in the gut, if we have good, beneficial, lots of, a plethora of beneficial bacteria, that's going to help the liver do its job well, which is going to help the lymph circulate well, which is going to help the lungs beat well. So it's just this like domino cascade. So a lot of times when I work with a lot of kids with respiratory illness, and many of them also have skin issues, because those go hand in hand. So like you were talking about with the onion kind of, analogy, a lot of times we'll see kids with skin issues, and then we'll be peeling that back and we'll start seeing skin getting better, and then we start seeing some kind of allergy, sinusy kinds of things, and then we can pull that one back too. So it's just another layer of helping the body cleanse and detox
Yeah.
when we're working with the lungs.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, it's such a good time right now to focus on our gut and lung health because the fall is really about rooting down, conserving energy, right? We're coming off of the brightness of the sun and the kind of like exposure of summer, right? Bursting colors, and we're rooting down and we're conserving energy and we're letting go of what we no longer need. So those themes are going to be present throughout, but part of what this conserving time is about building our bodies and cleansing, because we're going to be letting go of pathogenic, pathogens, microbes, whatever that we no longer need, which are then creating those cycles of illness in the wintertime, which is so hard for parents. And so this is like a super great time to conserve, to root down, to focus on your immune health, And like we said, there's no silver bullet. It's the things that we do consistently every day. So if you want us to help you hold you accountable for that, we would love to. And we start on October 7th. And if you want to apply, you just DM me apply here and you'll get the application. We limit the spots because we want it to be personal. And we've done it with 25. But this time we're only doing it with 15. So it's much better that way because you're going to get more time. And, you know, the spaciousness that we really want to provide for each mom is valuable for everyone because then you hear what that mom is saying and it kind of it's amazing. Like people love that aspect of the group, you know, because you're learning things from other people's questions that you didn't know exactly, you know, you didn't know you had that question, but you do. So just before we get off, there was a question in the chat that was around kinesiology. So thoughts on kinesiology and testing, and Holly, you can take that one real quick because I know we have a similar opinion. Just she's basically saying like how reliable, you know, like what do we think?
Yeah, I think it's great when you have someone who knows what they're doing, when you have a practitioner who's really well versed in what they're doing. I think it can be very helpful. The one aspect of it, so like muscle testing, that kind of thing, is what we're talking about, right? So with that, I think it's just important to understand that it's reading your body and what your body is needing. And sometimes that is like right now in the moment and not that deepest level layer of what you need. And sometimes it's a deeper thing and not necessarily number one thing to address. So it can sometimes be, I think it's very revealing. I do it myself and I have, you know, people who muscle test me for different things, muscle test my kids, but it is something to, not just take and be like, okay, well, now this is the one thing I'm going to focus on, but put it together with everything else. So look at your child, look at what's actually going on and see how that factors in rather than just taking that and just kind of taking that as like the one gospel truth, right? Yeah, that's my approach, but I like it. I think it's fantastic. Our bodies have so much stored in us that we're not really cognizant of. So muscle testing can be very, very helpful as long as it goes along with everything else that we're seeing and we're getting a whole picture that we can support.
Exactly. That's what I think too. And I always, the muscle testing that I've had done is always like super interesting. And I'm always taking it with a grain of salt and kind of like looking at it from a couple different angles to see like what does this mean to me in the frame of the things I'm already working on. And I think it can be like a super helpful tool. So another question is, my husband and his family insist that too much beef is hard on or bad for the liver. It's an ongoing battle because we feed beef to our son. She started, the baby now is 21 months, started him on beef stock and beef purees at 9 to 10 months.
For me, it always goes to the quality. So, and like, what does the child want, right? So, if we're force feeding and if it's poor quality, then yeah, that could be really bad, all in many different ways. But if it's a quality beef and your kid is wanting to eat it, then my suspicion of that being harmful is very, very, very low. Usually, beef is one of my favorite foods to give my kids. Beef organs, tallow, you know, all the different components of beef. It's so nourishing. It's so building. It can be very cleansing. So yeah, but I always just go based on like what does my kid want, right? And letting them kind of take as desired.
She says she buys the best grass-fed and grass-finished. She just put that in the chat. So there's a lot of we eat beef all the time. We're like totally pro beef over here. We're eating beef. We're going to coach you to eat beef. We're going to talk about how good beef is for your body and the planet. The thing is, there's a lot of demonizing that's happened for a long time about red meat in general. In terms of the liver, like you could read a couple different great, you know, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride has a good fats, bad fats lecture on YouTube that you could watch. You could check out The Big Fat Surprise. That's a great investigative journalist book about, you know, what happened with meat in America and fat specifically. The thing is, like, people are going to have these inherited ideas, and the scientific studies to support their claims, like, kindly, you have to just either turn your, you know, you got to either support with the evidence that you want to support with, or just say, you know what, thank you so much for your opinion on this. I'm going to continue to feed my family how I find it is best. And we do work on food boundaries and food values and standards in the group coaching if you wanted to. But I think like that's also something you could just work through in your own body, because like that's a bigger, issue of like someone trying to tell you what to do, and you really need to get your husband on your side. That's like the main thing. Like it's about your marriage. And so other people, you have to be a unified front, and other people coming at you is just really unfair, and it's like totally uncalled for and unnecessary. And so that would be like my first step. I'd be like getting all my information, gathering it myself, knowing it in my heart, being like super clear, and then I'd approach my husband and I'd be like, "Hey, we got to get together on this, because if I don't have your support, like what do I have?" Right? It's so important. I mean, one of the questions on our application intake form is, what kind of support do you have? Because we want to know what's going on in your home life, and that really makes a big difference. So the other question kind of related to this that I got in my question box was like, my family calls me a food Nazi. And so for that person, first of all, that's a really disrespectful thing to say, and also a bit dramatic. For someone who's doing food healing and working with symptoms, basically, you know, we need to have an environment at home where we are supported. And so again, I would approach my husband, in a way that was very humble, disarmed, but also like firm and strong. Do you have anything to add, Holly, to that?
Yeah, I basically just reiterating. I think like going back to the previous question with the liver or with the beef. While beef is fantastic, there's a lot of good things about beef. If that is constantly a sore subject between you and your husband, maybe you try some lamb, maybe you try something else. Like it's not the end all. So we can sometimes there is room for compromise. I don't like the word
Yeah,
compromise, but like
perfect.
working with your husband, right? Like working together with mom and dad is so important. Kate and I actually talk about this privately together about how important it is to be on the same page with your spouse, right? And to be united, to be encouraging each other, to be working with each other for the good of your child, right? Like it is going to be so supportive of your child when you are on the same page. So that I love what you said about that, Kate. I think that is a really good place to start of like work together. Where are you in unity? And then where can you look together to pursue truth about food and pursue truth about health? And I know that's something I encourage people to go through my courses together. I encourage, husbands and wives to come together, moms and dads to come together to my calls and things to make sure, like, let's talk together, not just wife trying to tell husband or, mom trying to tell husband, dad things, because that doesn't usually go along. It doesn't often go well like that, right? Like, let me teach you something, but like, take him aboard, like, have him come and be present with courses or with what you're learning, like learn together. I think that's, yeah, so important to do.
Yeah, exactly. We always welcome dads. That would be so amazing to see more dads. Love that. Would be so great. Just the last question that we'll take for today is, I've heard you say that cutting fruit altogether for eczema babies. Can you explain why? Yeah, so fruit is not a building food. So when it comes to eczema, we typically see yeast underlying in eczema, and we want to give the body as much building foods as possible. And those building foods are animal foods. They are helping the body regenerate cells. And the emphasis is on those foods because the body is crying out with eczema. You know how we've connected it to the liver support for foods that help the body heal, and fruit just doesn't do that. And so typically I don't recommend cutting out fruit, as the first thing, but we need to really get that child eating more foods that are providing the building blocks, And so when a baby fills their belly with fruit or only wants fruit or is rejecting other foods for fruit, then that's a time to remove it, because that's not what your baby needs when you have eczema. Your baby needs skin and fat and protein and meat stock and fermented brines. And hey, we can ferment some blueberries too. But it's more so like, this is the problem with Instagram. Like, it's more so about understanding and reading your child's body and taking the symptoms and understanding them and responding to that, rather than like blanket statements like fruit is good or bad.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I always classify foods into like, is this a feeding food a fun food or a fake food, right? And so fruit I put into the fun food category. It doesn't really feed, it doesn't boost us, it doesn't really provide much for us. But it's super fun. And so sometimes fruit has a place, like it's delightful, right? But when we're specifically working on healing our child, that's not its purpose. So it has a purpose. It's not bad. There's no morality associated with food, right? It just simply is this helpful in what your child really needs right now, or is it not? And I think there are some situations where the emotional component is we need to like help with that, not to say emotional eating, but like let's celebrate with something and it's okay to have a fruit, right? But if that's a priority, then fine. And if your priority is healing, then you work on the healing foods. So that's what Kate and I mostly do. We work on healing foods. That's what we're doing. We're not like, hey, here's all the fun foods you can give your child, right? And so I get that a lot too with like I posted something about tomatoes the other day and I got so many people like tomatoes are great for you. I'm like, that's fine, that's just not the point.
Yeah.
But thank you, great, eat a tomato if that's helpful for you. But for right now with what we're teaching, like let's get your kids as strong and resilient as possible, and then they're going to be able to eat these other foods and not have a problem. But our goal is to get them like front loaded and strong, resilient, cleansed, ready to go. So that's why I'm on the same page as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you. Perfect way to end. I would love to have you. So if you have questions, you can, write a comment here. We'll answer it, or you can DM apply to get into the group. And we might do another live. We have a few spots left, and we're going to start in 2 weeks. So I'm really excited. You have some time to think about it. And if you're serious, definitely reserve your spot. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. See you soon.
Bye.